row somewhere. Y'all were here. Thank you, Tim, and the Fort Payne Chamber, Carol Bedingfield. Carol, thank you, Carol, and of course the Greater Jackson County Chamber of Commerce. Want to recognize a few people at the risk of overlooking someone, so if I've overlooked you, I apologize. Lots of elected officials here today. We got Mayor-elect Rick Hanback here. Rick. Mayor Steve Helms from Woodville. Rick is obviously most people know from section. Mayor-elect Robin Shelton, Scottsboro. Mayor Melton Potter for, what, 2 more weeks, Melton?
Week and a half.
Week and a half. Count today. Mayor-elect Roger Lingerfeld, Rainsville. Roger, good to have you with us. Mayor Gerald Craig from Sylvania. Gerald, good to see you. Let's see. Of course, we got some of our county commission, I know from Jackson County, Dennis Miller, Stacy Level, Matthew Hodges. Any county commissioners from DeKalb County that we overlooked? All right. Your name?
DeWitt Jackson.
Mr. Jackson, glad to have you. Anybody else? Good. We're glad to have all of you. Certainly, I want to thank Keisha Garner. She put a lot of work into this. Keisha, thank you so much. She's such a great partner with us, and we certainly appreciate it. A couple of other things. Over on this table that you leave, there's sample ballots for Jackson and DeKalb County. They're separate. You have to read the tiny print to see which one is yours. And there's also, for DeKalb County, a local amendment. There's a copy of that. And then there's also a sheet with a summary of all the amendments that are going to be on the ballot on Election Day. So be sure to take advantage of that. Let's see. Also, Dust Rogers. Dust, we miss you. Where you at, Dust? Dust is out here on the mountain now working, and we certainly miss him. And of course, his replacement, Gary Chandler. Gary, where you at? There we go. Gary Chandler is the new president and CEO of the Jackson County Economic Development Authority. We're excited. He's been on board about 2 weeks. We're excited to work with him. So a lot of good things going on in Jackson County as well as DeKalb County. Next, I want to thank Northeast Community College. Let me tell you, they are one of the greatest partners anywhere. One of the best community colleges in the entire nation, and we couldn't have a better president than Dr. David Campbell. So I'm going to invite him up here to give a welcome from Northeast.
Good morning and welcome. We're glad to have you on our campus and come out here and visit with us anytime. We do appreciate the Fort Payne, Waynesville, and Greater Jackson County Chambers of Commerce for working with us to put this on, and looking forward to hearing what Senator Livingston has to say. It's always important to keep informed, and they deal with some tough decisions, complex issues, and it'll be great to have an opportunity to find out more about what's happening. We'd like to thank our staff for working on this. Chastity Belvin, our event planner, arranged most things out here, does a great job. Brenda Stringer, my assistant, also was very involved, and our maintenance staff, I know was here late yesterday getting everything ready for y'all. So again, welcome to campus, and look forward to the address. Thank you.
Again, we have got a great asset in Northeast Alabama Community College. It's fantastic for both Jackson and DeKalb counties. I want to introduce the Vice Chair of Public Policy or Governmental Affairs at the Greater Jackson County Chamber of Commerce to introduce Senator Livingston. Mike Elkins, my current chairman of the board, who's the president of Unclaimed Baggage Center, was not able to be here. He is in the middle of building a house, and the only day he could meet his contractor was this morning, so he is meeting with him trying to get his house finished so he can move in the next couple of weeks. So he sends his regrets. Which, by the way, since we're talking about him, y'all may have seen that Unclaimed Baggage Center won Retailer of the Year Gold Award given by the Alabama Retail Association. So they are a great asset to our community and all of Northeast Alabama. So, Alan, if you would, come up and introduce the senator.
Thank you. As Rick said, I'm Alan Keller. I'm Vice President or Vice Chair of Business Advocacy at the Chamber. And it's my honor to introduce Senator Steve Livingston this morning. It really is. Steve Livingston's the owner and manager of the Fuel Center Incorporated in Scottsboro, and they distribute Chevrolet gasoline and lubricants. He's been in the gasoline business in Jackson County for more than 25 years. He's a 1974 graduate of Scottsboro High School and a 1978 graduate of the University of Alabama. Steve has distinguished himself as a servant of his community for many years. Steve's a longtime member of the Scottsboro Rotary Club. He served as president also of the Greater Jackson County Chamber of Commerce. He's a founding member of the Leadership Jackson program, which is a wonderful program. I've been through it. There are some others here. Larry Becker and Jessica Butler has also been through it. Wonderful program, and I thank you for that, Steve. And he's also a class member of Leadership Alabama, class number 10. Steve has also served on the boards of the United Way and the Boy Scouts of America. Currently, Steve serves on the board of directors of the First National Bank of Scottsboro, as well as the Leadership Alabama Regional Council. He's a member of the First United Methodist Church and has served as chairman of the trustees. He has 2 children, both graduates of the Scottsboro City School System, as well as Auburn University. His daughter, Laura Ann, and son-in-law, Drew Mims, are the proud parents of 3 children, Parker, as well as twin sons, Cooper and Jackson. His son, Jager, lives in Mont Belvieu, Texas, and works with ExxonMobil at the Baytown refinery. Steve's marriage to the former Sandra Steele expanded his family significantly. Sandra has 2 daughters, Chris McGarry of Cooperstown, New York, and they have 4 children, and Amy Frakes of Huntsville, who has 2 children. Steve was elected to the Alabama State Senate in November 2014, representing State Senate District 8. District 8, as most of you know, includes DeKalb, Jackson, Eastern Madison, and parts of Huntsville. Steve serves on the following committees: Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry, Fiscal Responsibility and Economic Development, Veterans and Military Affairs, Transportation and Energy, Finance and Taxation, General Fund. In addition, Steve has been appointed to the following joint committees: Interim Finances and Budget, Medal of Honor for Law Enforcement Officers, Joint Legislative Committee, Forest Study Committee, Permanent Joint Legislative Committee on Energy Policy, and Joint Legislative Committee on Water Policy and Management. Won't you all join me this morning in giving a great round of applause to our Senator, Senator Steve Livingston.
Thank you very much, Alan. I appreciate that. I'd have to look up and say, Dad, did you write that for him? Dr. Campbell, it's a real privilege to be back here at Northeast again. This is the central hub for us, and I appreciate you and your staff doing this again for us this year. And for those that haven't heard, you know, Governor Bentley will be here tomorrow in the Health Education Building announcing some CDB grants at 11 o'clock. So if Northeast was kind enough to step us to do that. Our 3 chambers, Fort Payne, Rankin, Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, thank you all for this. And WKEA, I think, is live here broadcasting this today, so thanks to them for doing that today. I thought that I would cover a little bit of the last legislative session and the special session, and then get to some of the amendments that were on the ballot this time that are important to me, and I can try to answer any questions to those that might be important to y'all out there in regards to that, and then we can take questions and answers at the end. I've got with us today Richie Horton, who represents the western part of Jackson County and Madison County, Tommy Haynes, who represents District 23, Jackson County, and Nathaniel Ledbetter, who is District 25, okay, 4, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry. But I think that between the 3 of them, they can answer any questions you've got, so I'll just put the monkey back on their back. You know, we started off our legislative session in January of last year with the intention of doing zero-based budgeting. We had every agency to come forth to a hearing in January and tell us why they needed what money they needed, and ask them to explain why, looking for while we're looking for ways to cut. To a T, almost every agency came to us asking for increased budgets and sometimes significantly increased budgets for next year. Talk a little bit about what you see on the board. I'll go forward from there. We passed this last year the largest education budget that has been, the largest education budget since the 2007-2008 downturn in the economy. It gave all teachers making under $75,000 a 4% raise. It gave those making over $75,000 a 2% raise. Unfortunately, the PDIP board came in behind it. The PDIP, the board that controls the insurance, came in right behind us. They had asked for, I think it was $30 million that year to fully fund insurance for teachers and retirees. They came, we fully funded that at their request. They came in right in behind us in April and raised the employee contribution and the retiree contribution. So basically, the raise that we gave them of 4% was gobbled up by that PDIP raise, and that's really a sad situation. We gave teachers more money for textbooks this year, and we put $16 million back into pre-K education across Alabama. Our general fund budget, we level funded all agencies to the prior year, with the exception of Medicaid, corrections, and the health department. They received some additional $30 million. In the end, it was not enough for Governor Bentley. He vetoed the budget. And contrary to popular belief, we did give Medicaid a raise in money, but it was not the significant raise that they wanted. They wanted some $85 million. We think we put $15 million into their budget. So in the end, he vetoed our general fund budget, and we were successful in both chambers to come back and override his veto. Some of the major accomplishments we had was protection of children and families. The Jason Flatt Act provides awareness training for K through 12 students. You probably saw Coach Saban and Coach Malzahn doing some ad spots for them back in the spring of the year on this, so that was important. It also, under Iowa's law, they have capital murder convictions for aggravated assault. This is not good breakfast literature here, but we passed some pro-life legislation where unborn babies remain intact, can't be sold, and forbade abortion clinics within 2,000 yards of K through 12, K through 8 schools. 2015, we passed 3 significant bills that put Alabama in the top 6 in economic development. This year we came back and added some things to it that will entice and keeps us in the top 5 or 6 states in the country. One of them, as you see, is the shovel-ready credits for new companies, for job sites, credits for port usage. That doesn't just include Mobile, that includes Huntsville, the Port of Huntsville, which is the airport out there. And then, of course, at the bottom is the credit for hiring new employees, small business hiring new employees making over $40,000 a year. Richie Horton in 15, he carried an apprentice program. It failed at the last minute in 15. And then 16, the apprentice program was approved. We allowed deductions for health savings accounts. And then at the bottom, you see the right to work vote, conferred to Alabama's right to work state. And we have a constitutional amendment on that, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Also, Amendment 2, protection of Alabama State Parks. We'll talk about that just a little bit further. One of the things we did pass was Lenny's Law. Last year there was a Carly's Law that had provided some medical marijuana oil, cannabis oil, at a low concentration to UAB for a study program. The concentration was reduced to like 1%, and the study program really kind of ended up ineffective at UAB. So this year, Representative Ball brought back the same program, basically with another name of the Lenny's Law, and this is a cannabis oil that's at the 3% level that's back at UAB. Now, it's interesting to see the young children that this is affects. They had a gallery full of them up there, and they're just sitting there suffering thousands and thousands of seizures. So if this is effective in some capacity, it would be wonderful to get a little relief there. Backed up, that pretty well covered our our general section. You know, I would go back and say that in the spring of the year, Nathaniel, we had a young man come to you that was a victim of domestic violence. He had, the male partner in the family had beat him severely. He lost his hearing. He came to Nathaniel in the spring of this last year with a petition of over 1,200 signatures, and all he wanted to do is help somebody avoid getting put in that situation again in the future. Nathaniel took it in the House of Representatives, and we passed a domestic violence tag bill. He passed it pretty early on, and we finally got it to the Senate on the 24th hour of the last day we were there, and it passed. So we were there late on Wednesday, or Wednesday night, and when we came back through the next day, I stopped by Nathaniel's office in Rangeville, and we called the young man's mother, and she literally broke down in tears that day. All he wanted to do was help somebody else, not be a victim like he was. So that's one of the good things that you get to do down in Montgomery, to help somebody avoid being abused, as the case may be. Special session. The governor calls us back for a special session. I think the initial call was a lottery for the Medicaid with any other funding that could be put underneath that could go to Medicaid. He's looking for some $75 million. In the spring of the year, the Alabama House spent 3 days, I think, debating fantasy football. There were 2 companies in Alabama that wanted to be licensed in Alabama, Fan Kings and Draft Jewels. They were prepared to pay a license fee of some $350 million, $350,000 each, and 13% of revenue earned in Alabama. The Alabama legislature, the House spent 3 days, I think, debating that, and it never came to a vote. So to try to give you a little bit about the Alabama lottery is whole nother issue, a whole nother question. Also in the spring of the year, Senator Jim McClendon from down here at Springville, just down the road, had a 31-word bill in the spring that said, basically, do you favor a lottery for Alabama? Had none of the details about where the money was going to go or how the lotteries work in Alabama. That bill was passed out of committee, and that's as far as it got in the spring of the year. So Senator McClendon, knowing that we're likely to be back, went to work, and his 31-word bill morphed into 19 pages. So when we hit the special session in, I guess, August, we had 2 bills dealing with the lottery. We had Senator McClendon's bill, and we had the governor's bill. Senator McClendon's bill died in the Senate. We ended up passing the governor's bill with some changes in it in the Alabama Senate and sent it downstairs. And when we passed that bill, it was a constitutional amendment. It required 21 votes to pass. The vote was 21-12. That bill came out as a clean bill, fair to all parties involved, and I voted for it. And the reason I voted for it, because I thought it gave you the opportunity, and I'm just the first vote. Y'all, people, it's a constitutional amendment. It would have been on the ballot in November 8th, and it was a bill that gave y'all the opportunity to say whether you wanted the lottery, yes or no. So, as the bill goes downstairs to the House of Representatives, there were some 4 substitutes, which is you take a 30-page bill and you got a substitute that's 30 pages. There may be 2 or 3 items difference in it, and there may be a whole bunch of differences in it, but there were 4 substitutes offered. I think some 32 amendments offered between upstairs and downstairs. The Senate, or the House, on the first vote, failed to get the necessary 63 votes. A House member had voted on the negative on the prevailing side. In this instance, would have been no's, and they actually intended to vote a yes, and they reconsidered that bill, and it passed 63 to, what was it? 63, 60. Yeah, it was just by 2 votes is all it passed by. So you can see how contentious, no, that's not the word I need to use there, but you can see how this has got people concerned. 63 and 61 vote. And we need 21 votes in the Senate. The bill had substantially changed, and it gave favoritism to certain parties when it came upstairs in the Senate. since the favoritism was not to all parties that were out there equally, and we're talking about Greene County, we're talking about Macon County, and we're talking about our friends, Fourth Creek Indians in South Alabama. When it came back to the Senate, a substantial number of votes over there, 21, decided this was not a bill that needed to be put forth to the citizens' vote. And it failed 24-7 in the Alabama Senate. So that was the end of the lottery for the special session. So that only left one mechanism in place. And that was the BP oil settlement. Our friends in South Alabama have been fighting tooth and nail all spring long. They think they're entitled to all $2.3 billion of this. This is Alabama's settlement for tax money that Alabama lost in revenue because we didn't travel to the beach. We didn't travel up and down I-65 over to the beach. Gasoline money, sales tax money, and all that was gone to Alabama schools, Alabama, the general fund in Alabama. In the end, after several long, hard days and some contentious meetings, and there's some stories I wish I could tell there that probably don't need to be told. But in the end, we ended up with a plan. We paid back $161 million to the rainy day account, $238 million, almost half of the money owed to the Alabama Trust Fund, $120 million to Medicaid for this next year, for 17 budget, and into the 18 budget, $105 million. And $120 million in roads for South Alabama. As we all walk away from that, and I've used this several times, we all walk away from that. There's nobody who's happy with this. But in the end, politics is really the art of compromise. And if nobody's happy, then perhaps it's a pretty good compromise at the end. So that's where we ended up in the special session. We did have one little item that's going to be a budget down at the bottom there. It's a constitutional amendment, I believe it's number 14. We'll pick it up in a minute. But we use in the legislature, before our budgets are done, there is a provision that's called the BIR, Budget Isolation Resolution. And we have to pass that before the budgets are passed on each and every bill that's passed. Well, over the years, there have been many local bills that have been passed to provide funding to Jackson County, to DeKalb County, to CASA, the Council on Aging, people like that are going to be affected by this because the judge in Birmingham has ruled that this was not the way to do this. So this constitutional amendment, which is on the ballot, that we're going to talk about in just a minute, clears that up and makes sure that those local laws, and there's some 700 local laws that are going to be affected by that. So, while it's not very attractive, it is what we do in Montgomery. Okay. Well, we lost that page? Okay. We'll talk about the constitutional amendments. I won't go quickly through the amendments that are important to us. The amendment number 1 has to deal with Auburn University. They had some controversy over one of their appointees last year, and they added 2 more positions to that board that would provide some diversity. But inside that also, they have 9 trustees that will be reappointed in 2019. So much like our Jackson County did a couple of years ago, they are staggering those terms so they all don't come up together at the same time frame. So what that means is somebody's going to get a 2-year term, somebody's going to get a 4-year term, somebody's going to get a 6-year term. In the end, they'll all be the same. It just keeps some continuity in there. So I say number 1 for Auburn. I think that's something that we need to vote yes on. Number 2 is the state park amendment. Okay, we don't have that up. And again, these are all over here. Number 2 is the state parks amendment. For the last number of years, the legislature, prior legislatures, and we did also last year, in order to fund the general fund budget, we have transferred money from the state parks revolving fund. The revolving fund generates to them $30 million annually, and those are visitors' fees that you pay in certain state parks. Amendment 2 will allow the state parks to keep up to $50 million in reserve. We had some closures at Buck's Pocket. We had partial closure in the wintertime out at DeSoto. But this will allow them to stay open full-time. This will allow them to take the money that they have to do improvements and do capital improvements in the state parks and allow them to get back on level ground where they are and where they ought to be. And why this is important to us goes with DeSoto, because of Buck's Pocket, Gunnersville State Park right next door. One you don't think about is the Diesel Caverns. And then the fifth one would be Monsanto. All these are, just adjacent to us and important to us in North Alabama. Buck's DeSoto takes in some $3 to $4 million, brings in some $3 to $4 million annually to the DeKalb area. So it's a beautiful place, and we need to protect that. Constitutional amendments, number 3. Currently, if there is one objection to a local constitutional amendment in Alabama, then it goes on the statewide ballot. And we have on this, you'll see when you pick up your ballot, you'll see, I think 4, one for Calhoun County and one for Etowah County, Baldwin County, Pickens County, that really don't pertain to us. So if one of the legislators objects to it, then it goes on the statewide ballot. Number 3 corrects that language. Number 11 is an economic development amendment. Well, it's one that I carry for the city of Huntsville. They use tax increment financing to finance their projects in Huntsville rather than the general revenue bonds in the city. This is the 21st century amendment. It provides for 250 contiguous acres can be used for certain boutique industries that are available out there, pharmaceuticals, automotives, things like that. What it is, you have to take a 250 acre cotton patch out there that you're currently getting $1 off of. Well, you bring in Polaris and you sit it down on 250 acres, you get $25 off of it, so you got $24 to pay back that tip, is what it amounts to. When you use that money to pay for the infrastructure you got to put in. That's how they do it. Huntsville has 6 tips in place. 2 of them have been retired, 4 of them are active. Out of the first 2 that they did, they were successful in building what is Columbia High School on the backside of Research Park and Lee High School downtown. Those were provided out of those 2 tips. So this is another tool that our economic developers put in their toolbox to keep us competitive for our neighboring states. Let's see, number 14 has to do with local laws. I talked a little bit about that on the bottom. Again, the judge in Jefferson County ruled that these local laws are unconstitutional based that I'm not an attorney, I can't tell you why that happened. Number 14, if we vote yes on number 14, it will allow us to continue and allow these local laws to be effective and constitutional. And that's a quick highlight on that. Maybe this is a good time for us to go to question and answers on some of the amendments that you might have. Gentlemen, y'all want to come up and step up and take questions and answers? No? Dr. Campbell was right, that everybody said over here last year, so what I should have said is, behind the factual declaration, I don't intend to play it. So, questions, anybody?
I have a question.
Yeah, Carol.
Why is there so much controversy on Amendment 2 right now? Looks like that would be a no-brainer. But what could be in that bill that would cause any controversy?
We did a press conference at DeSoto, and there was some concern about privacy language in the bill. There is no privacy language in the bill, privatization language in the bill. What it does is, and Nathaniel, can you quote what it was exactly?
Yeah, it gives them opportunity to, if the state park is losing money, it's not feasible to keep it open, to offer concessions. They did that at Buck's Pocket last year. Nobody wanted them, But the thing it does, the language has always been in there. There's nothing different than it's ever been. The amendment boils down to whether you want the state parks to keep the money that they earn or not. That's really what it boils down to. There's been a lot of this, bad information, I guess I should say, or people that don't quite understand how it reads because of privatization. That's always been in there. And they've had that option, and actually in the 80s, a lot of the state parks was privatized, but they come back because it wasn't successful. So when it comes down to it, it's just to let them retain the money that they earn, which 90% of the money that goes to the state park is actually earned by the state park off fees and county and lodging. So.
And the second part of that is, Carol, you know, if y'all remember the Secretary of State messed up the ballot. That was the amendment they messed up on. Yes, sir.
I say, are there any bills currently in the legislature that are going to tax our retirement annuities?
None that I'm aware of that I have seen pre-filed.
Thank you.
Thought that'd make you happy.
No, I'm going to add a little bit to that. Not only there's not one pre-filed, there has been filed, there is one that's coming up that's going to, people that are retired do not have to pay it. So I think if you're a state employee at this point, you don't have to. So this brings everybody else in line with state employees.
Steve, talking about the lottery bill, y'all, I assume, expect it to be brought up to the next session.
I did not get to what I expected to see next session, and I apologize. Yeah, I fully expect to see the lottery bill back in the spring of the year. It may be in a comprehensive bill with some gaming. I don't know. The governor's called gaming commission. It's supposed to report back by mid-January, and the appointees have not been put together on that just yet. But I would expect, I know, once this thing fell apart in Montgomery, the two parties of Macon and Greene County were meeting with the Fort Creeks looking for a compromise. So I would fully expect it to come back. But we're going to see Medicaid back. You know, it's really out of control, and we have very little control over it. We put the $75 million into it to fully fund the RCOs. They're struggling getting off the ground. The joint, contracts committee is held up on letting out the contract for the legal services. It was $1.5 million, I believe. I don't think it's been released yet. But the RCOs, or hopefully regional care organizations, are in place across the state that should put this into a managed healthcare situation where we can control a little bit of where we are. Because currently where we sit with Medicaid without the RCOs, we have no control over anything other than total money.
So I have a question about that and the RCOs. How will that affect the nursing homes and dialysis at this point? Do you know?
It shouldn't affect any of that. This will be for others that are not nursing home bound. And also,
Are y'all, excuse me, are y'all planning on any steps to address the PHIP situation with the teachers? Of course, as you said, they received a 4% raise, and then PHIP came in and pretty much absorbed that in their raise. So.
PHIP is a totally independent board. There are no legislators that sit on that board. It is appointed by the retirement systems. You know, AEA has filed suit against the retirement system, PHIP board to ask them to rescind that. And now Tommy says he has a bill.
Yeah, I have a bill that it's already pre-filed that says that if they come to the state legislature like they did last year and they request $20 or $30 million and we fully fund them, if we give them what they request and we turn around and give the teachers a raise, then they will not be allowed to take that raise. They won't be able to touch it. They won't be able to go up on premiums. They won't be able to go up on co-pays. That's if it passes. That's a question. In Montgomery, you never know.
Also, coming up this next year, we passed some legislation last year prisons. Our population was 192, 95%. That legislation has been effective. It's down to the 150% category. It will continue to be effective as we go forward. But in the meantime, Holden Prison has continued to have riots inside. We lost a security guard not too long ago. I fully expect to see Commissioner Dunn come back with his, he brought a bill to us last year with a huge, over-encompassing some 12,000 new prison beds to be built. City could pay for it out of his current budget by consolidation. We asked him to come back and bring us that documentation. So I fully expect to see him come back with that shortly, because we have a real crisis in the prison systems that we'll be dealing with in 2017 session. Are there any other questions? This is a quiet crowd. Yes, sir.
Is there any way you could give us a card for seniors, for senior discount on gasoline?
You know what, I'm just proud to have a little gasoline, to be honest with you. You know, it got real tough there for a little while when the pipeline ruptured south of Birmingham. You know, you realize that it was pushing some 55 million gallons a day all the way to New Jersey. So you take 10 days, 55 million gallons a day times 10 days, 10, 12 days. Yeah, we were in a real tight situation there for a little while. So appreciate your patience of being out in public there for us and allowing us to do what we can do during that same time. I don't think they introduced Roger as the mayor-elect in Rainsville, Alabama, did they? Congratulations.
Will the state be recouping any money from that oil spill?
That's a good question. I would be a bit surprised to see something filed on that. We'll see. It hasn't, nobody mentioned anything about it yet, but I'm sure somebody will at some point in time.
I have a question.
Sure.
You showed a baby in the womb, and you said something about pro-life. You went through that so fast. The only thing I got out of that was keep the body intact. Can you explain more about that?
They have been doing dismembering fetuses in the womb as part of the abortion process, and that's what that deals with. It's not an attractive subject.
No, it's not.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean,
It forbids that, makes it against the law.
but yet abortion's still legal, right? I mean, okay.
After the first trial. It is, but we're cracking down on that, trying to make it more difficult.
Well, I'll be praying about that.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, I was glad to see Trump come out and say what he did about the
Yeah.
That's really the first time I've seen I guess a true politician come out and say that nationally. That's a good thing.
No, in 1963, when they dedicated the Camp College here, Dr. Campbell, Governor Wallace stood out front, and he said, we need the 4-lane out on Highway 35. We're almost there. We got a little segment we went up the mountain here in section that we're working on, and we've been working with Director Cooper and the Alabama Highway Department. They have told us they were going to work on 18, 21, now we're back to 18. We're pushing on him to do that. That's the last little segment. From an economic development standpoint, that is beneficial to all of us in North Alabama. We're all in this together. You know, Governor Pittman will be here tomorrow. He announce $2.1 million of CDBG grants to Mercer. In addition to last year's $1.1 million, that's over $3.3 million worth of grants have been brought back to DeKalb and Jackson County to help our small communities do what they need to do. Nathaniel and I have been fortunate that we have been able to bring back a little over $1.2 million to highways in DeKalb County. If we can get this last little segment of Highway 35 completed, then 1963. Governor Wallace's commitment in 1963 1963, we finally be completed, so. I was trying to do math, I'm sorry, I didn't do math. 53. 53 years, 50 years later. 50 years. Mike?
Appreciate you bringing that up about Highway 35. As people's talking to me about starting, that's been the number one subject brought up to me by citizens in Texas. It's right through our town, and it's things that's involved and procedures for that. You know, it's something that we really look forward to as well.
We've talked to Curtis Vinson about hopefully taking down some of these old buildings as part of a contract, get it out to where the town doesn't look like it's been abandoned. And that's where we're trying to go forward with.
I've been telling people that you're working on that.
Thank you, Mayor.
One thing I do want to mention real quick, and especially for the County people, me and Steve passed a local amendment called 845. And what that does, it repeals the election process. If a vacated seat is vacated by a county commissioner, or last year, I think, we had 2 constables in DeKalb County. And because DeKalb County is the only county in Alabama that actually has that bill, and because they had over 12 months left in their term, the county had to fund an election, which were both of them running, cost a little bit over $100,000. That was for an unpaid constable. What we've done is we put the language to repeal that, with the governor just to appoint that position, and that would save thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for DeKalb County. If it was a primary office like a president of the county commission or the sheriff, it could cost anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000. Is that right? About right with it? Up to $500,000, depending on if they had to have cycles to run off versus parties. And so it's very important for DeKalb County. They don't have the money to go spend for an election. And the thing about it is the governor gets to make the appointment, but the people get to decide who they want to keep in that office. So I would encourage you to vote yes on repealing 845 if you're in DeKalb County, or if you know somebody who is.
The BP bill, I want y'all to know that when we left the House after the vote and sent it up to the Senate, I don't guess I've ever been any more teed off in my life. The BP settlement, it was a good compromise. It wound up being a good compromise. I just didn't agree with it. The North Alabama legislators wanted to pay the debt. We wanted to get Alabama out of debt. Well, it wasn't going to happen. The South Alabama legislators in 2 counties was bound and determined to have $191 million for 2 counties, for 2 roads, 2 stretches of highway. And Representative Ledbetter, during the debate, I want y'all to know, he brought an amendment that would have given each county $1 million, or 65 counties, $1 million each for their rural roads. And it failed. I mean, it didn't make it. And the longer I sat there, the more I stood. I went back to the floor and had it reconsidered. I just want everybody here to know that we were trying to get money for our counties and for their rural roads, and we failed. I mean, I hate that we didn't get it, but this is what we came out with, the compromise, but we tried. I just want y'all to know we were down there trying.
That is one other thing I do expect to be back in the spring, is the highway and gasoline tax bill in some capacity. I haven't seen the text or the bound of what it will be just yet, but I do expect to see something back. Good news is in the 15th session, we passed Senate Bill, I believe, 180, that changed the distribution, that gave our county commission and our municipality more money. Dr. Campbell, thank you for, again, having us back out in the Northeast. Our Chamber of Commerce is Fort Payne, Rainsville, Greater Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, Philip, Scottsboro Power Board. Thank you all for having us again today. If there's no other questions, then I guess we will wrap this up. Rick's going to wrap it up. I'll say it that way.
Thank y'all very much, and we appreciate what y'all do in Montgomery. I know y'all are down there, and probably the toughest time there's ever been to be in Montgomery and try to help this state, and I know you're fighting for our counties. Just a couple of real quick announcements. On Monday, November the 14th, we're going to have a primetime business expo at the Goose Pond Civic Center from 5 to 9. All of our businesses are going to be displaying. Public is invited. Thursday, November the 17th, it's going to be a Bridgeport early bird at U.S. Gibson. And then we've got an early bird at North Sand Mountain High School. Let me tell you, they have gotten some high-tech equipment for these kids and these students that are unbelievable. I mean, the principal, I've been talking with them and meeting with them, and let me tell you, you need to go out there and see what they've got, because it is impressive. Gene?
Rick, just to follow up on what you said, I actually went to North Sand Mountain yesterday and got to play with what's called Z-Space. And if you can imagine pulling out a 3D beating heart and be able to take it apart and see the individual components, the arteries and everything like that, right there, the kids just love it. So if you have a chance to see it, I would highly recommend it.
Definitely. Talked to Jonathan Coleman. Coleman ran into him down in Tuscaloosa Saturday at the ball game, and all he wanted to talk about was that. And it is unreal. He said he had some students that were problem students, and they are so locked into this that it's totally changed the way that they think, the way that they're acting.
He said they're only the 4th school in Alabama to get this. So it's
Big
really
deal.
cutting edge technology.
It absolutely is. So you're gonna have a chance to see that. Again, that is Tuesday, December the 7th. Everyone's invited. I encourage you to go out there. I'm looking forward to going out there and see it. He said it's beyond belief what they're doing. So, Gene, I'm jealous that you got to go out and see it.
It's just amazing.
Yes, absolutely. Then we got on Thursday, December the 15th, we have our Bridgeport State of the City Address, Community Center, 7:30 a.m. And on Tuesday, December the 20th, our Stevenson State of the City Address given by both our mayors. Before we leave on a funny note. I have to tell a story on Steve. We're at the ball game Saturday, and I'm sitting up there, and I've been sitting in my seats long enough to know that on a sunny day you better wear a hat. And this was sitting here, we're sitting here, and it's the 4th week in October, and I mean, we're getting scorched. Well, I had my hat. I was prepared. So Steve, they come walking in, they sit down 2 rows in front of me, and he looks back up there, and he sees my hat, and he pulls a little small wad of money. I think I saw a $10 bill out of his pocket, offering to buy my hat. That $10 deal needed at least another zero on it before I was It was hot.
It was hot.
It was hot, but anyway, we had a good time. Listen, thank y'all so much. Appreciate your attendance. Hope you have a great week. Steve, Nathaniel, Richie, Tommy, thank y'all for what y'all do, and thank you, Dr.